A human engineer takes control of the galaxy's largest warship. His first step alters fate. He was a human engineer, and in a universe where humans were often dismissed as fragile and simple, that alone was enough trouble. He worked in the shadow of the outer docks of the Epsilon 6 shipyards, a place where the galaxy's most advanced ships were built, repaired, or quietly scrapped. The docks were alive with the constant hum of energy cores, the hiss of plasma welders, and the chatter of alien voices in dozens of languages. Kale loved the chaos. He thrived in it. But Kale had a secret. Humans were not expected to solve problems the way he did. Alien engineers relied on precise calculations, strict protocols, and centuries-old manuals. Kale ignored manuals. He experimented. He improvised. Where aliens saw impossibilities, he saw solutions. He could turn scraps into systems, failures into functions, and dead ships into machines that sang. It was during one of these quiet nights, when the orbital docks were bathed in the cold glow of a distant star, that Kale stumbled upon the Leviathan. No one had spoken of it in decades. It was a warship built during the last great galactic war, a conflict so vast it had reshaped entire star systems. The Leviathan had been abandoned after the war ended, left to drift in the outer reaches of the Zoreth Nebula. It was the largest ship ever constructed, a fortress on wings, bristling with weapons that could obliterate fleets. But to Kale, it was something else entirely, a puzzle. He entered the docking bay and froze. The Leviathan dwarfed everything around it. Its hull was a dark, reflective black, etched with alien symbols that pulsed faintly as if the ship itself were alive. The air was stale with centuries of abandonment, and yet Kale felt a thrill he could not explain. "Why would anyone leave this here?" he muttered to himself, voice echoing in the empty hangar. He didn't know yet, but this abandoned warship would change his life, and the fate of the galaxy, forever. Kale had no plan. No one had even thought to program the Leviathan for humans. Its controls were alien, complicated beyond imagination. Displays shifted constantly, responding to thought patterns he could not understand, and the ship's systems were defensive by default. Any human attempting to pilot it without knowledge would be vaporized, or worse, trapped in a loop that would fry their mind. But Kale did what humans always did when faced with the impossible. He started touching things. Carefully, slowly, he ran his hands over the alien interfaces, feeling for patterns, looking for logic. He discovered that the ship's security systems were not as rigid as the manuals described, because the Leviathan had been designed to adapt to multiple alien species, not one unpredictable human. Hours turned into days. Kale lived aboard the Leviathan, sleeping in a small maintenance module, eating ration packs, and studying alien schematics he could barely read. His human intuition guided him where data failed. He began to understand the rhythm of the ship, how its core pulsed like a heartbeat, how its engines responded to his touch, and how the weapons systems were almost waiting for someone who could think differently. Then, one night, Kale found the first opening. A minor subsystem, long dormant, flickered to life. Lights ran along corridors, screens displayed unfamiliar diagrams, and a low hum spread through the hull. The Leviathan was responding to him, not fully, not yet, but it was listening. For the first time, Kale smiled. He had done what no alien engineer could. He had made the Leviathan acknowledge him. But the ship had secrets. Hidden deep in its core, Kale found fragments of old logs, messages left by the Leviathan's builders. They spoke of an override system, a control mechanism so powerful that whoever possessed it could bend the ship, and the war it carried to their will. The logs were fragmented, corrupted, almost unreadable. But one thing was clear: they had feared someone might misuse it. Kale's stomach tightened. The galaxy had already tried to destroy itself once, and now here he was, holding a weapon that could do it again. He spent another week testing. He learned to manipulate the engines, reroute power, and bring more systems online. Every success was a triumph, every failure a lesson. Kale began to understand a fundamental truth. The Leviathan was not just a ship. It was a machine that demanded creativity, intuition, and courage, the qualities humans excelled at. It was during these experiments that Kale was noticed. A scout vessel, small and sleek, approached the Leviathan's orbit. Its occupants were aliens, tall and pale, with eyes like liquid silver. They hailed Kale through the ship's universal translator. "You are tampering with a warship forbidden to all species," their leader said. Their voice was calm but edged with menace. "Abandon this vessel, step aside." Kale laughed softly. "I'm not here to fight," he said. "I'm here to understand." The aliens exchanged glances. No human had ever spoken to them this way. Most would have trembled, apologized, begged for mercy. Kale did neither. "You are reckless," the leader said. "The Leviathan is not a toy, it's power." "I don't want its power," Kale interrupted. "I want to know it. To see if I can make it work." There was silence. Then unexpectedly the alien nodded. "You are different," it said. "Perhaps this will be interesting." They departed, leaving Kale alone once more. But the encounter confirmed something he already knew. The galaxy had underestimated humans. Days later, Kale made a breakthrough. Using a combination of human intuition and trial and error, he managed to bypass the Leviathan's primary alien control protocols. The engines roared, systems hummed in perfect synchrony, and the ship responded to commands he did not even know how to phrase. Kale floated in the command chamber, staring at the stars beyond the viewports. He felt a thrill unlike anything he had ever known. He was not just an engineer anymore. He was a pilot of something unimaginably powerful. And yet, the ship still held its secrets. Deep within its core, encrypted and protected, was the real override system. Kale had found traces of it, but accessing it would be a challenge no human or alien had ever faced. It was then he realized that the Leviathan had chosen him, or perhaps he had chosen it. Either way, their destinies were intertwined. Kale spent the next week exploring the ship's corridors, learning its layout and experimenting with its systems. He discovered that some areas were designed to be intuitive, responding to creativity rather than programming. Here, his human mind had an advantage. Where aliens relied on brute computation and rigid protocols, Kale improvised. He rerouted power using spare conduits, bypassed locked systems using mechanical intuition, and solved problems that would have taken alien engineers decades. It was exhausting, but exhilarating. Every day, Kale felt a little closer to mastering the Leviathan. Every day, he felt the galaxy's rules bending to human ingenuity. Then came the first real test. A small pirate vessel, armed with stolen weapons, attempted to dock at the outer bay, drawn by rumors of the Leviathan. Kale had not expected visitors so soon, but the ship's defensive systems responded automatically. Turrets powered up, shields hummed, and the Leviathan moved with a grace and precision that stunned him. He watched as the pirates' weapons were neutralized not by force, but by clever manipulation of the ship's energy fields, something he had accidentally discovered while experimenting. The Leviathan had not fired a shot, yet the pirate vessel retreated in confusion, unable to comprehend what had happened. Kale realized something important. Humans do not need to be the strongest or the fastest. Sometimes, cleverness alone is enough to change the tide. He smiled. The galaxy had underestimated humans for too long, and Kale was about to show them why. But as he stood on the bridge, staring at the stars, Kale felt a chill. The Leviathan was ancient, powerful, unpredictable. And somewhere in the deep reaches of the galaxy, forces far stronger than any pirate were watching. Kale's first steps had been small, careful, brilliant. But the galaxy was vast and fate was not yet settled. And yet he knew one thing: he was ready. For the first time, A human had taken control of the galaxy's largest warship, and the first step of that journey was already beginning to alter the fate of everything. The stars beyond the Leviathan's viewports were silent witnesses to Kale's work. He floated in the bridge, surrounded by a labyrinth of alien controls, energy conduits, and displays flickering with codes no human was meant to read. Yet, for all their complexity, Kale felt a strange rhythm. The Leviathan was not just a machine. It was alive, in a sense, and it responded to him in ways it would never respond to anyone else. For days he had studied every system, the engines, the shields, the weapons arrays, and the alien intelligence that had been built to command the ship itself. He discovered patterns that were invisible to even the most advanced AI, subtle feedback loops, timing sequences, and redundancies that were not errors but invitations to creativity. Kale realized something profound. This ship had been designed for adaptation but not for unpredictability. Humans were unpredictable. He began to experiment with the Leviathan's weapons, not to fire, not yet, but to understand. Energy beams hummed through conduits as he rerouted power in unconventional ways. Shields flexed in patterns he did not expect. The ship seemed to test him, to challenge him. Every misstep risked catastrophic failure, and yet every success gave him confidence. It was during one of these experiments that he first noticed the surveillance drones. Small, almost invisible, they moved with precision, scanning the Leviathan's surface. Kale knew immediately. They were not hostile, but they were curious. Someone was watching. It did not take long for him to discover who. A diplomatic envoy from the Zorathian collective arrived, sleek ships gliding silently alongside the Leviathan's orbit. Their communication was formal, controlled, but urgent. "You are in possession of a warship that belongs to all the galaxy," the Zorathian leader said. Their voice was calm, but there was steel beneath it. "We cannot allow you to continue without oversight. Step aside." Kale smiled faintly. "Oversight," he said. "I am not taking it. I am learning it. I am not trying to destroy anything yet." The Zorathian hissed through its translator. "Learning it? You are human. You do not understand what this ship can do. Your species is reckless." Kale laughed softly. "Then maybe you need a little recklessness." The envoy left without further argument. Kale knew it would not be the last time someone came to stop him, but he also knew something more important. The galaxy underestimated humans because they relied on patterns, not intuition. Kale had both, and the Leviathan responded to him. Days turned into weeks. Kale's mastery grew. He discovered hidden compartments, maintenance shafts, and override protocols the alien builders had hoped no one would ever reach. He worked with alien manuals when he could, but often he ignored them entirely, trusting his human instincts instead. One afternoon, he accessed a subsystem that had been offline for centuries. It controlled the Leviathan's propulsion systems and tactical maneuvering. He tentatively activated it. Power flowed through circuits like liquid fire. Lights blinked in corridors far above the bridge. The engines roared to life, not violently but with a deliberate, controlled power. Kale floated in zero gravity, grinning. He had done something no alien engineer had done in hundreds of years. He had brought the Leviathan to life, but mastery came with responsibility. He learned that the Leviathan's energy cores could be reconfigured to create defensive shields far stronger than anything in the galaxy. Its weapons could be recalibrated to hit precise targets at unimaginable distances. The ship was more than a war machine. It was a symbol. And symbols could change hearts, minds, and even empires. It was during one of these days that Kale discovered the betrayal. An alien faction, the Obrith Dominion, had sent a team to assist him. At first, their expertise had been invaluable. They understood the Leviathan systems in ways Kale could not. But one night, while Kale was running simulations in the command chamber, he noticed subtle anomalies. Minor reroutings of power he had not authorized, energy flows that did not match his calculations. The Abrath engineers had been secretly manipulating the Leviathan systems to make it vulnerable. They planned to seize control once Kale had fully activated the ship. Kale felt a cold thrill. Humans were not supposed to anticipate betrayal on this scale, at least not with alien minds. But Kale had learned to read patterns that were invisible to others. He had predicted every move before the Abrath even considered it. He waited, observed, learned. When the moment came, it was sudden. The Abrath attempted to activate a system that would override Kale's commands. The ship shuddered, alarms blared and corridors lit with red warning lights. But Kale was ready. Using an unconventional rerouting protocol, he redirected the ship's energy in a sequence the aliens could not understand. The override failed. The Abrath engineers were trapped in a lockdown module, unable to proceed. Kale's grin was small but victorious. The Leviathan had chosen him, not them. Humans were the wildcards. The next challenge was more formidable. The Leviathan's reactivation had not gone unnoticed. Word spread across the galaxy. A human had taken control of the largest warship ever built. Fleets mobilized. Diplomats scrambled. Mercenaries were hired. Some offered allegiance. Others offered annihilation. Kale's human ingenuity was tested like never before. Alien fleets moved in coordinated patterns designed to trap him. Sensors predicted his every move. Strategy simulations assumed humans would act like aliens, following logic, obeying patterns. But Kale did not act like an alien. He improvised. He reconfigured the Leviathan's engines mid-flight, creating unpredictable maneuvers. He rerouted energy from weapons to shields in ways alien tacticians never considered. He used empty space as a trap, forcing enemy ships to collide or retreat. Every success was a statement. Humans do not follow rules. Humans create them. During one confrontation, Kale faced a Zorathian battle group. 5 ships, heavily armed, coordinated to perfection. The Leviathan, under alien logic, could not have survived. But Kale did not fight as the aliens expected. He used the ship's defense systems to project illusions, rerouted energy to create phantom signatures, and used the Leviathan's massive size to block and shield smaller ships while picking them off individually. By the end, the Zorathian commander called for a retreat. Kale's victory was not one of raw power. It was of human ingenuity, daring, and unpredictability. The galaxy had never seen a human fight like this, and Kale knew it. Amid victories and maneuvers, Kale realized the Leviathan held secrets beyond combat. In its deepest cores, he discovered encrypted logs and schematics left by the builders, detailing the ship's ultimate potential. These included not just weapons, but systems capable of controlling energy flows across planets, of influencing economies, and of defending or dominating entire star systems. Kale understood the responsibility. The Leviathan could be a tool for conquest, or it could be a shield for peace. The galaxy would expect a human wielding such power to become a tyrant, but Kale had different plans. Humans were clever, yes, but also ethical. He would not allow the Leviathan to become a weapon of fear. He would use it to show that humans could be both powerful and principled. But humans were not the only unpredictable element. Kale formed alliances with some alien engineers who respected him. Together, they refined the Leviathan systems, merged alien protocols with human improvisation, and prepared for threats that would soon arrive. Kale learned alien combat techniques, but he always modified them. Where aliens relied on brute strength or absolute logic, he introduced creativity and flexibility. This was the true turning point. Kale was no longer merely a human in an alien ship. He was a master of something greater than any single species could command. The Leviathan responded to him with speed, precision, and power that no one else could imagine. Yet, as Kale prepared for the challenges ahead, he felt the galaxy shifting. Reports came in from scouts. Fleets were forming, alliances were plotting, and whispers of rebellion and conquest reached even the outer nebulae. He understood that his first steps, bringing the Leviathan to life and mastering its systems, had not gone unnoticed. The galaxy would test him, challenge him, and perhaps try to destroy him. Kale smiled. Let them come. They would learn the same lesson the pirates had learned. Humans were not weak, predictable, or inferior. Humans were wildcards. Humans were survivors. Humans could bend fate itself. And Kale was ready to take the next step. The Leviathan hummed beneath his hands, alive and obedient. Its corridors were silent witnesses to his work. Its weapons, engines, and shields were aligned in perfect harmony with human intuition. Kale floated on the bridge, looking at the stars, and knew that the galaxy would never be the same. The first steps of mastery were complete. The next steps would decide the fate of entire star systems. And Kale Rin, the human engineer no one believed in, was ready to show the universe what humans could truly do. The galaxy was watching. News of Kale Rin and the Leviathan had spread like wildfire. Across star systems, governments, fleets, and mercenary factions scrambled to understand how a single human had brought the largest warship in existence back to life. Some saw a threat, others saw hope. Some wanted to destroy him before he grew stronger. Others wanted to ally with him, hoping to ride his rising influence. Kale floated in the command chamber, eyes fixed on the vast expanse outside the Leviathan. Stars flickered in the distance, cold and indifferent. The ship's hum was steady beneath him, alive, almost patient. The Leviathan had become more than a machine. It had become a partner. Together, they had survived betrayals, outwitted alien engineers, and turned chaos into control. But Kale knew this was only the beginning. The ultimate challenge was coming. The fleets of the Zorathian Collective and the Abrith Dominion, the most powerful military forces in the galaxy, were converging on his position. Their orders were clear: eliminate the human pilot or seize the Leviathan at any cost. Kale did not flinch. He had survived worse odds, and the Leviathan responded to him. Together, they were unpredictable, dangerous, and brilliant. The first wave arrived without warning. Sleek alien warships glimmered in formation, weapons primed, shields crackling with energy. Kale had anticipated this. Using a combination of human improvisation and lessons learned from the aliens he had allied with, he had reconfigured the Leviathan systems. The ship's massive engines moved in ways alien tacticians could not predict, twisting and turning through space with grace and power. Energy fields flared, creating false images of the Leviathan in multiple locations. The enemy fired, but their weapons passed through empty space, hitting nothing. Kale smiled. Humans are unpredictable. Humans are clever. Then he acted. The Leviathan's weapons powered up, but Kale did not fire as expected. Instead, he used the ship's energy to disable the enemy sensors, scramble targeting systems, and force the alien ships into confusion. One by one, they collided or retreated, unable to comprehend what was happening. Kale's victory was not brute force. It was human ingenuity in action. It was not just Kale who made the difference. Humans aboard the Leviathan, a small team of engineers and tacticians, played crucial roles. They hacked alien subsystems, rerouted power in daring maneuvers, and repurposed weapons in ways no alien could imagine. Kale watched their work with pride. These humans were ordinary by galactic standards, but their creativity, courage, and teamwork amplified the Leviathan's power beyond expectation. The aliens called it chaos. Kale called it human spirit. The battle intensified. Fleet after fleet arrived, more organized, more numerous, and more powerful. The Leviathan, under Kale's command, moved like a single living being. He anticipated attacks, manipulated energy flows, and used the ship's size to shield smaller allies. Every alien commander assumed humans were weak, but Kale proved them wrong. Humans did not follow predictable patterns. Humans thought differently. Humans survived where others failed. Yet Kale was not reckless. He understood the Leviathan's limits, respected its power, and never wasted its resources. He used cunning, not wanton destruction. He avoided unnecessary loss of life, even among his enemies. The galaxy was learning something it had never considered. Humans could be clever, powerful, and ethical. As the battles raged, Kale accessed the deepest layers of the Leviathan's core. The alien builders had left hidden schematics, detailing energy networks that could influence entire planets. Kale realized that the ship's full potential went beyond warfare. It could be a tool for peace, a shield against tyranny, and a beacon of hope for the galaxy's oppressed species. He made a decision. He would not use the Leviathan as a weapon of fear. Instead, he would demonstrate that humans could wield power responsibly. He would show that ingenuity combined with ethics could alter the fate of the galaxy. The final confrontation came in the heart of the Epsilon 6 Nebula. The largest alien fleet ever assembled glimmered like a storm on the horizon. Thousands of ships, coordinated with precision, advanced to destroy the Leviathan. Kale remained calm. The ship's engines hummed beneath him, waiting, alive, patient. The aliens fired. Energy beams streaked across space. Massive projectiles hurtled toward the Leviathan, and shockwaves rippled through the nebula. Kale reacted instantly. He rerouted power from the Leviathan's engines to shields in fractions of seconds, creating deflection fields that sent enemy attacks harmlessly into space. Then, with human intuition, he anticipated enemy maneuvers and adjusted the ship's position in ways no alien could predict. The Leviathan moved like liquid metal, spinning, twisting, and weaving through the onslaught. Aliens fired again, only to find themselves hitting empty space. Kale's strategy was simple but effective: outthink, outmaneuver, and survive. Then came the moment of brilliance. Kale activated the Leviathan's energy projection systems, not as a weapon, but as a tool. He used the ship's massive power to create barriers and diversions, guiding enemy fleets into positions where they could not fire effectively. Ships collided, formation lines broke, and chaos spread through the alien armada. Kale's human crew executed daring maneuvers, hacking enemy systems, disabling weapons, and rerouting energy. One by one, alien commanders realized that they were outmatched, not by strength, but by cleverness. They had trained for centuries, calculated every scenario, and yet a single human in a living warship had rendered them powerless. It was the ultimate display of HFY. Humans were underestimated, dismissed, and overlooked, and yet they were the galaxy's wildcards. After hours of conflict, the alien fleets withdrew. Kale floated in the bridge, breathing heavily, staring at the stars. The Leviathan had survived intact, fully functional, and under human control. The galaxy had witnessed a human mind and ingenuity triumph where brute force, numbers, and advanced alien technology had failed. Kale smiled faintly. He knew the victory was more than military. It was symbolic. Humanity had marked its place in the galaxy, not as weaklings, not as tools, but as creators, thinkers, and leaders. But Kale did not stop there. He activated the Leviathan's deep core systems, sending signals to oppressed planets, offering aid, infrastructure, and protection. He shared knowledge of human engineering, tactical ingenuity, and cooperative strategies. Across the galaxy, species that had lived under fear and oppression found hope in the human's example. Kale's first steps with the Leviathan had sparked a revolution of intellect, creativity, and courage. In distant star systems, alien generals muttered in disbelief. Humans. These small, seemingly fragile creatures had changed everything. They had mastered a ship beyond comprehension and used it not to conquer but to inspire. Kale did not seek glory. He did not hoard power. He walked the corridors of the Leviathan, talking to his crew, solving problems, adjusting systems. He was still a human engineer at heart, curious, inventive, and humble. And yet he was also something more, a symbol. The galaxy had underestimated humans for too long. They would never do so again. Weeks passed. Kale stabilized the Leviathan's orbit near the Epsilon 6 nebula, transforming it into a base for research, protection, and diplomacy. Alien factions approached cautiously, some seeking alliances, others hoping to learn from the human who had tamed a legend. Kale met them with patience, intelligence, and openness. He demonstrated that humans could be strategic, principled, and powerful without cruelty. The Leviathan had become a testament to what humans could achieve, blending creativity with logic, courage with ethics, and ingenuity with empathy. Kale's journey had begun as a single step, taking control of a warship, and now it had reshaped the galaxy's future. In his private moments, Kale looked at the stars and thought of how far humans had come. They were small, fragile, often underestimated, yet they carried within them the spark of brilliance. The Leviathan was proof that humans could face the impossible and emerge victorious, not through overwhelming power, but through cleverness, courage, and ingenuity. He knew the galaxy would continue to challenge him. Threats would arise, rivals would test him, and decisions would weigh heavy. But Kale also knew one truth: humans were ready, and the first steps had already changed everything. The Leviathan's engines purred softly, a steady rhythm in the silence of space. Kale smiled. The galaxy had seen what humans could do, and the legacy of that day would endure across centuries. One human had taken control, and in doing so had altered fate itself. For Kale Rin, the engineer who had never wanted to be a hero, the journey was only beginning. And the galaxy, vast and infinite, would never forget the first steps of a human who dared to take control.